It's really hard to comprehend it because in 15 years, it's hard to comprehend that happening. You know, to all the countries all over the world via satellite. It's very difficult to comprehend.
What if I told you that Elvis Presley, the man we call the king of rock and roll, built his entire empire on stolen music? That every song that made him famous, every record that broke the charts, every performance that drove teenage girls wild was actually ripped off from black artists who never got a dime or an ounce of credit. This isn't some conspiracy theory. This is a cold, hard accusation that's been whispered in music circles for decades, and the evidence is absolutely devastating. Let's start with the song that launched Elvis into stardom, That's All Right. You know it, everyone knows it. It's supposedly the birth of rock and roll, recorded at Sun Records in 1954. But here's what they don't tell you. Elvis didn't write it. He didn't even arrange it. That song was originally performed by Arthur Crudup, a black blues musician, 2 years earlier. And Arthur Crudup? He died broke, never seeing a penny from Elvis's version that made millions. But it gets worse, so much worse. Hound Dog, another Elvis classic, right? Wrong. That was Big Mama Thornton's song first. She recorded it in 1952, and it was a massive hit in the black community. Elvis took her raw, powerful version, cleaned it up for white audiences, and suddenly he's the one getting called revolutionary. Big Mama Thornton's original, forgotten by mainstream America overnight. And this wasn't just happening once or twice. This was a pattern, a systematic takeover of black music by a white performer who had the backing of an industry machine that knew exactly what it was doing. Here's the thing that makes this even more sinister. We're talking about 1950s America. Segregation wasn't just legal, it was the law. Black artists couldn't perform in white venues, couldn't get played on white radio stations, couldn't break into the mainstream market, no matter how talented they were. They were trapped in what the industry called race records, music that was only marketed to black audiences. Elvis didn't just steal their music. He stole their only chance at mainstream success. Think about it. When Elvis gyrated on stage, white parents were scandalized. They called his moves vulgar, inappropriate, dangerous. But those same moves, black performers had been doing them for years. The difference was, when they did it, it was dismissed as primitive. When Elvis did it, it was called groundbreaking. The accusations don't stop there. Good Rockin' Tonight, Mystery Train, Milk Cow Blues Boogie, song after song that built Elvis's reputation, all of them covers of black artists' work. And not just covers, carbon copies that often lifted the exact vocal inflections, the instrumental arrangements, even the energy and soul of the original performances. But here's where it gets really ugly. Elvis's manager, Colonel Tom Parker, was a master manipulator who understood the racial dynamics of the music industry better than anyone. He knew that what made it even worse was that Elvis genuinely believed he was a good person. He donated to charities, bought cars for strangers, and treated his fans like family. So when these Hollywood actresses treated him with anything less than reverence, it didn't just hurt his ego, it made him question his own worth as a human being. The most heartbreaking part? Elvis never learned to separate professional criticism from personal rejection. In his mind, if you didn't respect Elvis the performer, you didn't respect Elvis the man. And for someone who'd spent his entire life fighting for respect, that was unforgivable. This psychological wound ran so deep that it affected every relationship he had with women for the rest of his life. He became suspicious, guarded, and yes, capable of the kind of hatred that would shock anyone who only knew his public persona. The 6 actresses we're about to discuss didn't just hurt Elvis's feelings or bruise his ego. They reopened old wounds, triggered buried trauma, and reminded him of every moment in his life when he felt powerless and small. And for the king of rock and roll, that was the one thing he could never, ever forgive. Now let me tell you about the women who committed the ultimate sin in Elvis's eyes. They tried to control him. And nothing, absolutely nothing, triggered Elvis's rage faster than being told what to do by someone he considered beneath him in the Hollywood hierarchy. First up, Anne Helm. Beautiful, talented, and completely oblivious to the psychological landmine she was walking into when she signed on for Follow That Dream in 1962. From day one of filming, Anne made a fatal mistake that would haunt Elvis for years. She started giving him acting advice. Picture this scene. Elvis is preparing for a crucial emotional scene, going through his process, when Anne walks over and says, "You know, Elvis, I think you should deliver that line with more vulnerability. Try it this way." The entire set went silent. Elvis's jaw tightened, his eyes flashed, but he said nothing. That was the moment Anne Helm sealed her fate. But it didn't stop there. Anne continued what Elvis saw as a systematic campaign to undermine his authority. She would approach the director with suggestions about camera angles, lighting, even Elvis's wardrobe choices. To everyone else, she seemed like a dedicated actress trying to make the best movie possible. To Elvis, she was a direct threat to his carefully constructed image as the undisputed star. Elvis's friend Jerry Schilling later revealed what happened behind closed doors. Elvis came back to his trailer one day, threw his script across the room and said, "Who does she think she is? I'm the one people came to see, not her." He was shaking with anger. I'd never seen him like that. People came to see, not. He was shaking with anger. I'd never seen him like that. Then, Jerry Reed did something that blew everyone's minds. He sits down with his gut string guitar, not the electric guitars these session guys were used to, and starts tuning it in ways that made no sense to anyone watching. These were seasoned professionals who thought they knew everything about guitar playing, and they're watching Jerry take the B string and tune it up a whole tone. Then he takes the low E string and tunes it down. The room goes dead quiet. Everyone's thinking the same thing. What the hell is this guy doing? See, Jerry Reed didn't play guitar like anyone else. While these Nashville cats were straight country pickers, using picks and playing conventional tunings, Jerry had developed this completely unorthodox style. He played with his fingers, used these weird tunings that nobody understood, and had techniques that looked impossible. So Jerry starts playing, and according to Jerry's version of the story, he immediately kicked into gear, sounded incredible, and Elvis went absolutely crazy for it. They knocked it out in one take, and it was magic. But here's the real story. Jerry was rusty as hell. He hadn't played in days, and it showed. He was hitting clunkers, missing notes, struggling to get back into the groove. Any other producer might have sent him packing right there. But Elvis heard something different. Every time Jerry hit a wrong note or stumbled, Elvis got more excited. He was hearing the raw, authentic feel that his session musicians couldn't capture. This wasn't perfect. It was real. "That's it," Elvis kept saying. "That's the sound." Jerry was getting frustrated with himself, though. Finally, he stops playing and looks up at Elvis, who's been watching him intently this whole time. And Jerry, being Jerry, breaks the tension in the most unexpected way possible. He pauses, looks directly at Elvis, and says, "God, you're handsome." Elvis bursts out laughing. The whole room cracks up. The ice is completely broken, and suddenly everyone's relaxed and having fun. That's when the real magic started happening. Jerry explains to Elvis that what he's trying to play is actually two guitar parts layered together. If he plays one part now and overdubs the other later, they'll have the full sound. Elvis immediately gets it. This is why his session guys couldn't nail it. They were trying to play two parts at once. So they start working through it, take by take. Jerry's nerves settle down, his playing gets tighter, and Elvis starts feeding off Jerry's energy. With each take, Elvis's vocals get stronger, more confident. Jerry's feeding off Elvis's enthusiasm, and Elvis is feeding off Jerry's authenticity. The whole room transforms. These legendary musicians who'd been struggling all day suddenly find their groove. The rhythm section locks in, the song comes alive, and you can feel the magic happening. The rhythm section feel the magic happening. By the 12th take, they had it. Pure gold. Elvis was sky high, the musicians were thrilled, and producer Felton Jarvis knew they'd just captured something special. But as Jerry Reed packed up his guitar and headed for the door, nobody realized they were about to face the biggest challenge of all. Colonel Tom Parker's empire was about to rear its ugly head. Jerry Reed is walking toward the door, probably thinking this is the best day of his career. He just nailed a recording session with Elvis Presley, made friends with the king himself, and helped create what everyone in that room knew was going to be a massive hit. Life was good. Then the business guys stepped in. "Hold on there, Jerry. We need to talk about some paperwork." Now, Jerry had no idea what was coming. He'd never been in this situation before. This was his first real brush with the big leagues, and he was about to get a crash course in how the music industry really worked. See, Colonel Tom Parker had a rule. It wasn't written down anywhere, it wasn't advertised, but everyone in Nashville knew it. If Elvis Presley was going to record your song, you had to sign away half of your publishing rights. Not negotiate, not discuss. You signed, or Elvis didn't record your song. And here's the twisted genius of it. It was actually a pretty good deal for most songwriters. If Elvis recorded your song, especially if it became a single, you were going to make serious money, life-changing money, the kind of money that could set you up for decades. So most writers, even the successful ones, gritted their teeth and signed the papers. The business guys start explaining this to Jerry like they're doing him a favor. "Look, this is just how it works. Elvis records your song, it becomes a hit. You make a fortune. All you have to do is sign away half your publishing." Jerry Reed stops dead in his tracks. "What did you just say?" "Half your publishing. That's the deal. That's how it works with Elvis." Now, Jerry Reed was many things. A fisherman, a guitar player, a songwriter, a guy with a great sense of humor. But he was also a poker player. And poker players know how to read a room. They know when they're holding a winning hand, and they know when to push all their chips into the center of the table. Jerry looks around that studio. He sees Elvis over there, still buzzing from the session, still sky high from finally getting his song recorded the way he wanted it. He sees the musicians packing up, all of them knowing they just captured something special. He sees the producer, Felton Jarvis, probably already thinking about how this song is going to restart Elvis's recording career. And Jerry Reed realizes something that nobody else in that room has figured out yet. He's got all the power here. Still sky high from finally getting his song recorded the way he wanted it. He sees the musicians packing up, all of them knowing they just captured something special. He sees the producer, Felton Jarvis, probably already thinking about how this song is going to restart Elvis's recording career. And Jerry Reed The timing couldn't have been more perfect. This was right before the famous '68 comeback special, and Guitar Man helped set the stage for Elvis's return to live performance. Jerry Reed's stubborn refusal to give up his publishing rights had literally helped save Elvis's career. But the impact went far beyond just Elvis and Jerry. Word travels fast in Nashville, and soon every songwriter in town knew the story. Jerry Reed had done something that was supposedly impossible. He'd beaten Colonel Tom Parker at his own game. He'd proven that artists didn't have to accept exploitation as the price of success. This is why Jerry Reed's story is so important. In an industry built on taking advantage of creative people, Jerry Reed showed that sometimes, if you're smart enough and brave enough, you can win. He understood something that most artists never figure out. Your leverage isn't just your talent. It's understanding when you're irreplaceable. Think about it. Jerry Reed wasn't a huge star. He wasn't a household name. He was a working musician who'd barely had a hit. His version of Guitar Man had peaked at number 53 and disappeared from the charts. He was grinding it out in Nashville, doing session work, hoping for his big break like thousands of other talented musicians. But in that moment, in that studio, he was the only person in the world who could give Elvis what he needed. Not Harold Bradley, not Chip Young, not any of the legendary A-Team players who'd been struggling all day. Just Jerry Reed with his unorthodox playing style and his gut-string guitar. And Jerry Reed was smart enough to recognize that power and strong enough to use it. This is what separates truly successful people from everyone else. The ability to recognize when you hold all the cards, even when you don't look like you should. Jerry Reed understood that his value in that moment wasn't about his chart position or his fame. It was about being irreplaceable. The friendship between Elvis and Jerry Reed continued long after that recording session. Elvis genuinely respected Jerry, not just as a musician, but as a man who wouldn't be pushed around. They recorded together several more times, including U.S. Mail and A Little Less Conversation. And Elvis always made sure Jerry was treated with respect. There were no more publishing demands, no more strong-arm tactics. In fact, Elvis reportedly told people that Jerry Reed was one of the most talented musicians he'd ever worked with. Coming from a man who'd worked with Scotty Moore, Bill Black, and DJ Fontana, that was saying something. But more than that, Elvis respected Jerry's backbone. In a world full of yes-men and people trying to take advantage of him, Jerry Reed had proven he was different. Respected Jerry's backbone. In a world full of yes-men, the signs were all there. The spiritual obsession, the physical breakdown, the final desperate words. Elvis Presley didn't just die on August 16, 1977. He had been dying for months. And somewhere in his heart, he knew it was coming. The evidence is overwhelming.